Great. It looks like audio is working. And all right, we can go ahead now and get started. I'm going to start kind of slowly again, just to give people another couple of seconds to log in. But hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Morgan Zients. I'm the Senior Product Education Manager here at Jotform. I'm very excited to have so many of you on the line with us today. We have a good number of people in today's webinar, so that's really exciting to see. This is AI for Nonprofits, a guide to getting started. And today we will be looking at how AI can help your organization stretch every dollar, amplify its impact, and free up staff time for more mission-focused tasks. Quick agenda as we kick things off today. So I will start with an introduction and overview of the kinds of AI tools that might be most helpful to you as a nonprofit employee. And we'll also look at ways that your organization can take advantage of these tools. Then I'll talk about some things to keep in mind as you're getting started with AI implementation, ethical considerations, how to prepare your staff, and things like that. And after all of the slides, I'll go out into Jotform and I will give you a demo of our AI agents in action. So we will see that. Quick note about the platform as we get started. So I see a number of you have already found the Q&A box. That's great. Please feel free to share your questions at any time today. My colleague James is on the line with us as well. So he is here to answer questions as they come up. We will have time for live questions at the end as well. So again, feel free to share those as they come to you at any time today. Underneath where you're seeing me, you'll see a box with a variety of resources related to today's webinar. I'll go ahead and mention those a little bit more in depth at the end, but feel free to click on those at any time today. And then also, if at any time as I'm going through today's presentation, you are inspired and want to talk to one of our salespeople, you can do that just with the box to the right of slides, just by hitting the submit button. Any of these boxes can be moved around or minimized or maximized. That's not going to affect anybody else's view. So feel free to pull up whatever makes most sense for you to focus on today. And on that note, I want to kick things off with a quick poll. So here is our poll question. Just want to gauge from all of you out there where you're at, where your organization is at with AI. So yes, we use AI regularly. We've tried it once or twice, or we're interested, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to find that poll and respond to that, and then we can look at some of the answers as we move forward. All right, I saw like one person responded and then almost everybody responded at once. So I'll give a couple more seconds there. And looks like responses are slowing a little bit. So I'll go ahead and close that poll. Thank you all. And here we have the results. So we use AI regularly is looks like the least popular answer, but that's great. So those of you who are already using AI tools, I'm sure you'll still get some ideas and inspiration here today. Looks like most of you have tried some things a little bit, and then another big group of you, about a third of you, not sure, haven't gotten there yet, but you're curious. So I do want to assure those of you who are in those two buckets that there will be plenty of background information today so that hopefully it'll fill up some of the information that you need to be more confident in using AI or moving forward with AI. And again, there will be information in here for everyone, regardless of where your organization is at with AI. Now, speaking of where your organization is with AI, regardless of where you fall, AI is already an essential tool for many nonprofit organizations. A recent Twilio survey found that just under 60% of nonprofits surveyed used AI to support digital communication last year, and 68%, so almost 70%, used it for user data analysis. We also know that though a lot of nonprofit organizations are already adopting AI, this might be a little bit more tricky for some other organizations. Some might have more conservative stances on AI use, or we know a lot of nonprofits are really just strapped for time and it might just feel too hard to find space in your schedules, or employees and volunteers may feel overwhelmed by the options out there. just referring to AI as if it's a single thing is nebulous. That doesn't really do anything to clarify the variety of AI tools and how best to utilize each kind of tool. So that in and of itself can really cause some confusion. And that's one of the things that I want to address here today. So we will start by talking first about some of the key different types of AI. For today's session, I'm going to focus on a couple of things. So first, we'll look at these three types of AI tools that can most benefit nonprofits. That's generative AI, predictive AI, and agentic AI. However, there are also many tools that span these capabilities. So in the coming slides, I'll talk generally about how you can use these tools, as well as how you can identify other tools that can help with specific nonprofit functions. So first, let's start by defining and looking more in depth at each of these three tools. First, we have predictive AI. This is AI that analyzes data to make informed predictions, which can help you better anticipate the needs of the people that you serve, as well as donor and volunteer behavior. For example, food banks can use predictive AI to look at community trends around food scarcity, and that can help you better anticipate the needs of the community and plan food and fundraising drives around the time when you know that needs are the highest. As another example, predictive AI can also help segment donors so that you can create personalized messaging to best impact each donor group. Some examples of predictive AI products or tools are Donor Search AI, GoFundMe Intelligence, and Dataro. Next, we have generative AI. This is probably what you think of when you hear that vague term AI, or at least it's what I think of when I hear AI. This is tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Google's Gemini, and they can help create content on their own just by being prompted. So for example, you can take those segments that we just talked about creating with predictive AI, and you can have your generative AI create drip campaigns specific to each segment, adjusting for tone and content so that you can best connect with each audience. Generative AI can also be useful for images, social media posts, and even your overall planning and campaign strategies. Finally, last on the list here is our agentic AI. This is AI-powered customer service agents like chatbots or voice agents. These can act on behalf of you to connect with your community in many different ways, with the bonus of them not requiring sleep. So they're available to people 24/7. These agents can answer FAQs, provide basic support, collect donations, and guide people through forms, just to name a few things. So for example, a potential volunteer might come across your agent on your website, and that agent can take down their required personal information, get them signed up for volunteer training, and answer all of their questions about time commitments, the community you serve, and whether their child can join them for volunteer opportunities. One big example of agentic AI that we're going to be talking a little bit more about today, and what I'll show in the demo, is Jotform's own AI agents. So again, stay tuned for our demo where I'll go into that in more depth. In addition to that, you have products like Thunai and Help Scout to start your chatbot building. And I do see that there is a question about being able to download the slides, not being able to download the slides. So I will double check on that, and you will get a recording of today's session, and I'll make sure that those links are fixed for the recording if there is a problem with the link. So we'll get back to you on that one if you have any problems there. Okay, so great segue into the next piece of AI. So we've covered those three main kinds of AI, and now we can explore ways that AI can improve your nonprofit's internal processes. We can also look at tools that can help you manage specific functions. So we will look at examples, we'll look at a number of different tools, and we'll talk a bit more about how these example organizations have gotten to where they are and what they've used to do so. First on this list is fundraising and donor engagement, perhaps the most essential function of any nonprofit. Using AI tools for these functions can help you build connections with donors and better involve them over time. Predictive AI, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, can analyze and segment donor data to help you maximize donations and really run those drives when it's most impactful to do so. With this, you can also learn, for example, who's most likely to give again and how much they might be willing to give. So that can help you kind of do your budgeting for the year looking forward. And again, that can help you figure out the best time to run fundraising drives, all of this based on past trends. Generative AI can help you personalize thank you notes, campaigns, ad copy, or really anything else that you want to create as part of your efforts to engage new and existing donors. Generative AI can even go a step further, and it can do all of that per segment, as we've talked about a little bit already, or also translate it into other languages so that you're able to digitally connect with each audience very directly. And AI agents can be, once again, made available anytime, anywhere to answer questions about your organization, like how does the organization use my money, and how do I get tax documentation, and to walk people through a donation form. This makes it much easier for both potential and recurring donors to understand your organization's value, which increases their willingness and ability to contribute over time. A really nice example of this comes from the American Cancer Society. They used Amplify to look at their past campaigns and analyze which of these ad campaigns made the most revenue. And with that information, they were able to improve their ad targeting for the next campaign. The ACS ultimately exceeded its donation benchmark for that campaign by 117% and achieved a 70% donor engagement rate for the campaign. So those are really, really like big, impressive numbers for using AI. And again, being able to be a little bit more targeted and specific with the campaigns based on what they were able to find out using AI. Next, we can look at measuring impact and reporting. So sharing impact is very important for a number of reasons. Summarizing your impact helps you understand what's going really well with your organization and what you might need to improve. It also helps show board members, committees, volunteers, employees, sponsors, and donors what real-world effects their contributions to your organization are producing. However, of course, finding the most impactful data and then turning it into compelling visuals can be a pretty complicated task. Well, it is really multiple tasks. In this case, you can lean on AI tools that are built into platforms like Google Analytics, Tableau, or Power BI to do the heavy lifting. You'll feed the tools the data that you have and tell them what you're looking to have analyzed. And you'll, from there, receive clear summaries and data visualizations. For staff, that means spending less time digging through data that can be kind of painful and take a really long time, and more time to work on presenting that and sharing it and doing more truly impactful work for the organization. Keep in mind, of course, that demonstrating impact can mean many different things for your organization, depending on your audience. Your board or a grant committee will need different data from volunteers, for example, and they'll need that data presented in a different way. We've already talked about a combination of generative and predictive AI to create reports, but once again, you can also use generative AI to translate those reports across audiences, pulling in the most important data points that will be most impactful to volunteers, to donors, corporate sponsors, et cetera, and creating custom visuals based on that. Agentic AI, once again, can be used to help serve that information up to your audience, answering questions like, how many free meals did you provide last year with hard facts and hard data? Or show me your latest financial reports with a PDF document of highlights that you've given your agent to share. All right, next let's move on to operations and administration. I know for me personally, this type of work can often feel like the least impactful and most painful part of any job, but it really can include some of the most important aspects of keeping an organization running smoothly. Tedious administrative work, of course, again, it can feel downright painful. This is probably especially the case for many nonprofits. I know a lot of nonprofits are understaffed, and that requires that everybody pitch in and do some of that work. A 2023 National Council of Nonprofits survey found that nearly 3/4 of nonprofits report having job vacancies, and the reasons for that were largely salary competition, funding challenges, and burnouts. So AI can really help take some of the pain out of operations and administrative work. AI, in this case, can help streamline and automate essential tasks like managing calendars, data entry and analysis, matching volunteer interests to upcoming opportunities, and even identifying potential grant opportunities and completing applications. This is another example I really like. Goodwill's online marketplace, shopgoodwill.com, uses Microsoft's Azure AI to evaluate donations for resale. This is work that previously had to be done by Goodwill employees who would have to sort through each piece of clothing that was donated, identify the color, brand, quality, and other metrics for determining the right prices. And they've been able to replace that manual work with work that AI is doing. So that way, again, this has reduced the amount of time that employees have to spend doing that work, and it's freed them up to do other more impactful work for the organization. Next, we have marketing and communications. This is one place where generative AI specifically can really make an impact. Large language models, or LLMs like ChatGPT, can draft content for emails, add images, social media posts, your website, really, again, anything that you can conceive of. All you'll do is type in the prompt explaining what it is that you want the LLM to do, and then you edit that product to make it your own. AI can also help you keep tabs on your social media accounts. Social monitoring tools like Sprout Social or Brand24 offer AI capabilities that can help analyze mentions, spot trends, respond to specific comments, and even identify what's working for similar organizations. And here at Jotform, we also just recently rolled out an Instagram agent that does a lot of that as well. So also can be very useful for managing your Instagram accounts. Well, there are probably endless examples at this point of generative AI used in marketing campaigns. This is one of the more creative and definitely the cutest example I've seen. What you're seeing on the slide here are some images from an ASPCA campaign in partnership with Arm & Hammer Cat Litter. For this campaign, they listed adoptable pets with an actual image of the animal and then also an AI-generated image that really captures the animal's personality. So that's these, the personalities really came through, and these animals were able to be adopted faster. And again, pretty cute example of using AI to their advantage here. Okay, so final points here, final way that AI can help is with constituent services and supporting your community. In this case, agentic AI like chatbots can be the key to providing service and support anytime, anywhere. These can be embedded into your website to answer FAQs, guide people through donations or volunteer forms, or even give directions or other information about your next event. To get started with these, you just train your agent by providing a knowledge base like an FAQ list, a link to your website, or even specific answers to specific questions, and the agent takes it from there. Some AI agents can even answer phone calls for you. Certain platforms like Jotform provide you with tools to develop your own AI-based, voice-based AI agent, so your staff spends less time fielding questions over the phone. And what you see on the slide here is just a screenshot of one of our tutorials about that. So if you are interested in learning more about our voice agent capabilities, I'm not going to show that in the demo today, but we do have a number of resources there, and I can always point you to that directly as well. You can find any of those on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/thejotform. Okay. Another of our final use case here with regards to supporting the community that you serve. This comes from Khan Academy's AI tutor, Conmigo. Conmigo helps students understand subjects better and helps teachers create activity plans and grading rubrics and anything that they need as well. This is basically an AI-powered hub for students and teachers, and it's grown over time without sacrificing staffing resources. So really useful tool for a lot of people who are using Khan Academy. And I do see a few more questions just before I move forward into getting started. So another good place to transition. It looks like slides are working for some people. So for those of you who are having any trouble with that, again, I can send that to you directly as well. And then there's a question about whether or not this is being recorded. Yes, we will send the recording to you within the next 24 hours. So you're able to rewatch. You'll also have access to all of the resources that are available as well. Okay, so on that note, let's talk about how to get started here. We've covered a lot of AI options, those basic types of AI, as well as those specific AI tools and products that can help perform, specific functions. But you might be wondering how you get started from there. I just threw a lot of tools at you. Implementing AI into your nonprofit can be much easier than you think. And, hopefully a little bit later today, you'll go out and get started there. But let's talk about some easy steps that you can get started with before I leave you to it on your own. So first things first, whether it's AI or automations or reevaluating anything you're doing, trying to simplify or change any process, I always recommend starting with the processes that take up a lot of your time and resources. That might be something like writing thank you messages, creating impact reports, or maybe you're answering the same questions week after week from volunteers. There are any number of things, but there are bottlenecks in every organization. Once you've identified what those bottlenecks might be, then you can think about the tools that specifically target those needs. So if your need is thank you messages, of course, an LLM like ChatGPT would be really useful there. If it's creating impact reports, again, I gave a couple of examples of tools here, but you probably need to think about a tool that can both analyze your data and turn that into something impactful for your audience. There may be a single tool out there that can help you figure out, help you approach many different processes. It probably feels overwhelming to kind of think of this as a whole. So again, just focus on one or two things at a time. Think about things that maybe you can, might be easy wins for you. And don't be afraid to start with something small or inexpensive. Again, with LLMs, there are often free versions available. So if this is a matter of, just starting to use an LLM to start generating content, that's something that you can get started with right away for free. Play around with it and see how it works and how it might improve some things for you. Once you have that figured out, once you figure out what process or processes that you want to approach and the tools that can help you do that, the next step, of course, will be to prepare the other folks that you work with. There is a lot of fear around AI and job security that comes up in my industry and technology all the time. And I'm sure that's also the case among organizations where sometimes you have to work really hard just to stay afloat. So it's incredibly important to start just by assuring staff that AI isn't there to replace them. It's there to help relieve some of their burden by giving them more space to focus on what they want to do, what they do best, and what will be most impactful for the organization. When you're able to allay those fears, a good next step would be to hold a short boot camp for employees. This could be something like teaching staff members best practices about writing effective AI prompts and reviewing that output. You also want to encourage employees to experiment and play around with the tool. That's the best way to build confidence with any tool and spark creativity and really understand how best to take advantage of the tools that are available. Finally, there are also some ethical and additional considerations when it comes to AI. Nonprofits, of course, operate on trust. A lot of times, your donors need to know what you're doing with their money. They need to know that you're using that responsibly, and they want to know what you're doing and hear from you as well. So it is, trust is a big piece of what's going on with nonprofits, and it's important to maintain that. Former Senior VP of Donor Search AI, Nathan Chappell, mentioned in a recent interview, we have to take a very different stance on what's acceptable with AI because we rely on trust. And according to a recent Twilio survey, only 38% of people surveyed reported that they actually believed that nonprofits were being transparent about AI usage. So first off, your nonprofit needs to be transparent about how you're using AI. This can be telling your donors and community members how you use their data and that it is being processed by AI in some cases. This can be a disclosure statement on your website. It can be included on your forms, or it can be included in other communication. Whatever it is that you're doing, again, very clear disclosure statements and maybe even consent checkboxes can go a really long way with maintaining that trust with the people that are working with your organization or supporting your organization. Another important caveat about anything AI generated is that it shouldn't be shared without human review. And this is the last point I'm going to make before the demo. So we're closing on a very important note here. Always review content for factual errors and any bias. So again, when it comes to trust, your constituents know that they can trust the information that they're getting from you. It can also be really helpful to review for language and tone that matches your organization's other content, and to make sure that you're rewriting or rephrasing things as you need to really accommodate that and keep consistent branding and tone throughout your organization. In most cases, I like to think of AI as a really great starting point that's definitely going to save you some time and effort. It's something that I've incorporated into a lot of my work, but the AI generated product probably won't be your final version. So just keep that in mind as you move forward. Okay, so that closes the introduction and our talk about AI and the slide content here. I will come back to slides at the end of the session to talk a little bit more about the resources. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll go out into Jotform and look at our AI agents in action. So let me just make sure that's sharing. Okay. All right, so again, in this demo, I'm going to be focusing on our AI agents. I'll show that to you in two different ways. So first, we will look at how to create and give your agent some training and customization. And then we'll look at an agent that I've already created, and we can talk to it briefly and just get a sense of how that works with the audience. I'm starting the demo here logged into my Jotform Enterprise account, so I haven't done anything at this point other than log in. What you're seeing here is my workspace. This is where I have access to my personal forms, personal agent reports, workflows, et cetera. These belong solely to me. But one of the advantages of our enterprise accounts is that you also have collaborative team workspaces that you can create. So I'm going to switch to our nonprofit team here, and we'll create here within our team. Up here in the upper right, you can see I have another member on my team. I, as an admin, somebody who has control over what happens with the team, can invite new people, and I can determine what level of access they have to the team. And I also have access to team settings down here where I can monitor usage and everything that goes on with any of the assets that are created and shared here in the account. So now that I'm here within the team, again, first thing I want to do here is start by creating an AI agent. To create anything within the team, you're going to look for the blue create button, so I'll hit that. And then here you'll see a list of all of the Jotform assets you can create. We're going to look at AI agents. The first step to actually creating your agent is to give a brief description here. So let's say a friendly nonprofit assistant ready to answer questions from volunteers, donors, and the community. Okay. The system basically uses this phrase that you provide here to create an outline of your agent. You don't need to worry about getting it exactly right. Anything that gets created can be changed as you go. This is going to open up in the the agent builder in just a moment here. And from here, you can make any changes you need, as well as train your agent, share your agent, and really everything that you need to do with the agent. At the top of the page here, we have build, train, and publish, and the system here has created Maya, our volunteer coordinator. On the build tab, you can see all of the different versions of this agent that you can create and share. You can use any or all of these. So if you just want a standalone agent, an agent that essentially would be its own website, you can just do that. But you do also have access to a chatbot, and then being able to connect to a WhatsApp account, and also being able to create a voice agent. Each of these, as you'll see, has its own settings to the very right of where you're seeing the conversation box here. When you click on that, you'll see settings for that specific channel. So for example, here with the standalone agent starts with a cover page or a welcome page. We can remove that, or we can customize it. I can change the heading that we're seeing right here. I can add a description, upload a logo, change chat button colors to make it more aligned with my branding, for example. Once customers or users start the conversation, they move to the greeting page that can start with an AI-generated message, which is for some reason taking a little bit of time to come up with today. Or you can also add in your own message. I think yeah, there we go. Starting to come in now. I think my internet is a little bit slow today, so hopefully it catches up with me throughout this. But anyway, you can have the agent have its own AI-generated message or include your own. And then below that, where it says show buttons, these buttons are essentially shortcuts to get people who are talking to the agent to a specific thing quickly. So those can help steer people in the right direction right away, rather than them having to type into the chat box, but that's also still an option for them. In the menu here are a number of options that you can toggle on or off as far as how your agent is available. So if you do want to use WhatsApp, you can toggle that on here and connect. If you want to connect forms to your agent, you can do that here. So, just making options available for your agent. I'm going to go to the train tab last because that's where you'll give the agent all of the information it needs. And I think that's the most important piece of making sure that your agent is ready to talk to people. So from the build tab here, let's look at the publish tab. On the publish tab, you'll see tabs that correspond to all of those agent types. And that is how you can share those agent types. So for standalone here, we can share a link, we can invite by email, share on social media, all of those examples. If we want to use a chatbot, which would look like what you're seeing on the right here, here is an embed code. There's WordPress specific code. And under platforms here, you'll find code specific to other sites. If you want to connect to WhatsApp, you'll be prompted to do that here. You can create an app based on your agent that you can then share with an app link. And if you're using the voice agent, you can get a phone number included and share this from there. One other thing to mention about the build tab is global settings up here. So again, you have settings per type of agent, and those are more about how the agent presents itself. This is more color and design. So that is the paint roller icon in the upper right hand, if anybody missed me clicking on that. You can choose from among a very extensive list of avatars, or you can even upload your own photo and turn yourself into an avatar. And then on the style tab, you can also change colors. You can choose from among the color schemes that are provided or add your own. You can add a background image. Again, you change the layout and more there. Okay, so let's go to that all important train tab from here. So again, from here, we have all of the options to train the agent, as well as some more specifics about how the agent will respond to questions on the AI persona tab. So on the AI persona tab, you can change the agent's name and role if you'd like to for any reason. You can also change the default language and tone of voice, so casual, friendly, or professional. And you can change the length of responses. So if you want your agent to provide a lot of context to responses, you'd want to use chatty. If you want them to be very direct, pithy, to the point, you want to use minimal. And you can customize that for both chat and voice agents. And then there are also guidelines down here. These are general guidelines that are added by default, but you can remove or change any of those. And again, that's available both for chat and for voice. Those can be different for either of those options. Knowledge base is where you'll start to give your agent the information it needs to answer questions. And there are a number of ways that you can do that. Again, you can use any or all of these. You can add as much information as you need. With knowledge, you'll just type in information. With link, that can be a link to your website or to a related external site. So you add a link, the agent will crawl that link. You can upload files. So maybe that's a volunteer handbook or volunteer training manual so that the agent can crawl those files. You can provide specific questions and answers to those questions. And you can also pull in information from YouTube, Zendesk, and Freshdesk accounts. Below that, we have actions. These are basically conditional logic statements. So you'll be able to give the agent a little bit more direction on how to respond to things here. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the example I've already created, so I can walk you through that with something that makes a little bit more sense in context. So we'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. Next, we have tools. These expand agent capabilities, so this can help your agent work harder for you. This includes in conversation, so taking specific notes or showing images or requesting a photo from people that the agent is chatting with, as well as things that happen after the fact, so sharing conversations to your cloud storage, scheduling calendar appointments, and more. So there is a long list of different tools here that you can integrate with. This list, I think, grows every time I look at it. So Freshdesk and Zendesk are pretty new options here. So I recommend coming back to this regularly to see what's new here. Last two things here, forms. If you would like your agent to help your users fill out any forms that you have in Jotform, you can connect those from here. You'll click Add New Form, and then you can select the form or forms you want to include. Again, I'll show this in context in the other example I'm going to show, so we'll come back to this in a couple of minutes as well. And then finally, with Teacher Agent, you can chat with your agent as if you were a user, and you can help refine your agent's responses based on what you're getting back from the agent. So, so that's a really neat tool to get kind of a real life experience. You can preview your agent at any time as well. So this will give you, an example of looking at this and communicating as if you were somebody chatting with the agent. And after conversations have ended, at any time, you're able to find those conversations right here. So there's a drop-down menu here in the upper left, and you can access conversations that your agent has had. So you see a full record of anything that that your agent takes down, any conversations and any information. Okay, so I'm going to hit this Jotform AI logo to go back to my team space here. And now I'm going to switch and bring us into Jordan. Jordan is the AI agent I've already created. And I'm going to pull him up in the same thing, the AI agent builder that we were just looking at. So I'm hitting Edit Agent here to do that. And here we have the same view. We're looking at Jordan. We can always come back and edit anything. So if I want to add additional knowledge, I can do that at this point. Really what I want to show from here are just a couple of things that I've already given this agent. So first things first, I've given Jordan these shortcut buttons where people who find Jordan, want to come get information from my organization, can click that they'd like to donate, they'd like to volunteer, or they're in need of service. And this helps route them to the right information, pretty quickly and seamlessly. And again, that's in settings, and it is on the greeting tab with show buttons here. On the train tab, I've given Jordan just a little bit of knowledge, just enough knowledge to give you an example here. So I've typed in a very brief summary of who my organization is here. That can be edited at any time if I want to add more context. I've also provided some questions and answers. So here, who do I contact for donation records for tax purposes? And Jordan is prompted to respond with our finance team. Can I serve community service hours with you? Jordan is prompted to respond to reach out to our volunteer coordinator. And how do I get support from your organization? We have a form, a request for support form, as well as in-person pickup locations. So I've given Jordan these FAQs from our organization and told Jordan how to respond to those. I've also connected a number of forms here. So we have 2 donation forms, an item donation form. This is this example is like a food pantry and necessities, an emergency sort of supply warehouse. So an item donation form where people can donate canned goods, deodorant, razors, other things that somebody in need might really need in a moment of crisis and immediacy. We also have an online donation form for financial donations. And then we have a volunteer recruitment form for our volunteer recruitment, as well as a place for folks who need help to get some assistance from us. In actions, I have provided Jordan with a little bit of guidance, as I mentioned. So if somebody says, I want to make a donation, Jordan is prompted first to ask if they want to make a financial contribution or they want to physically donate, again, those non-perishable goods or whatever it is that they have. That's because we have 2 different forms for those. We want to make sure that Jordan is getting the right form to people. So from there, when a user talks about making a physical donation, Jordan is going to connect them to our item donation form. And when somebody asks about making a financial donation, Jordan will have them fill out the online donation form. We can edit that by clicking the 3-dot menu here and hitting edit. You can see that you can change the number or the channels that this applies to. So if you only want this applicable in chat conversations, you can do that, or have it be all, whatever. And you have a when statement. So when a user talks about making a financial donation, we're going to go ahead and prompt them to fill out a form. All right, so that is everything that I've given Jordan here. So again, just a little bit of knowledge in here. Again, you can include far more than I've included here. You can include whatever you want, but I've added in just enough for a demo here. I've given some actions and I've also connected some forms. So now let's go and publish, and I'm going to open this in a new tab. And here we can chat with Jordan as if we were somebody from somebody who's come across this site and wants to ask some questions. Now, again, I can use the shortcut buttons, but I'm going to go ahead and just start typing something in here. I need support from your organization. So Jordan, again, has been prompted to respond to needing support by asking somebody to fill out the support form. And that's exactly what he's starting to do here. So somebody will contact you and then I can say, okay, can you give me the form? Jordan is also giving me the physical location here. So he's provided the information that I've given as far as picking things up in person. So let's say I'm just going to say, okay, I don't want to fill a form. So if I say, I don't want to fill a form, then he's going to, again, reiterate that we have places for pickup. So again, very quick example here, but this is just one example of how somebody who needs support can find it very quickly and easily without human interaction. If they don't want to speak with somebody, with anonymity, if they don't want to fill out a form. Let's say, actually, can I fill out the form? The form provides a little bit more information. And now that Jordan's been prompted and Jordan knows that I actually do want to fill out the form, he's going to get me started filling out that form. He's pulling in information that I've already shared in a previous conversation. That is an option that you can toggle on or off. Well, let's say everything looks correct here and I'm going to move forward. And here he's going to start to prompt me to continue the form. So I can go ahead and answer by just providing that answer to him. Can you provide me with your email address? But I can also see here that this open form option has popped up. So instead of chatting with Jordan, I can also come here and open up the form and submit it from here. All of those submissions are saved into your account, into your Jotform account, whether somebody is filling out from here on the form or whether they're filling it out in conversation with Jordan here. Okay, so I think that sums it up for the demo. So again, just very quickly, I want to recap. On the Build tab is where you can customize your agent's design. You can change avatars, colors, etc. You also have settings for each channel. You can share across any one of these channels or all of them if you'd like. Publish tab is where you go to find sharing information for those channels. And there are links, there are embed codes, there are social media sharing and QR code options. And again, you'll see that for each of the different channels. And then on the Train tab is where you can provide more information about how your agent will respond to questions, the length of their responses, their general tone and general guidelines. Add knowledge in the knowledge base, use as many of these as you would like. Set actions, that conditional logic pieces with actions. Tools to help your agent work a little bit harder for you, getting information to you after the fact or helping better support people during conversation. You can connect with your Jotform forms, as many of those as you need, and you can also teach your agent with chat. So on that note, let me stop sharing my screen and we will close things out. If you have not, I do see a few questions, but if you haven't already asked questions and you have a question, again, this is a great time to go ahead and share those questions. We do have some time to go through those live. I know James has been answering some of the questions behind the scenes as well. So thank you, James. And thanks for everybody who's already shared questions. So I just want to briefly talk about the resources that you're seeing there. So again, you should see links to the slides. If you are having any trouble with those slides, you're always welcome to email me directly. I'm morgan@jotform.com. I would be happy to send these to you. I'm also happy to point you to any of our other resources that are available. One of those that I want to mention that's not shared here is that if you are interested in learning more about our AI agents, I just gave you a very high-level overview, but my colleague Kimberly does a training for those every 2 weeks. It's our AI Agent 101. So she does a really excellent overview of the platform and goes into depth with training and showing you a live example. So if you are interested in that, I would be happy to help you get signed up for that. You can either leave a note here in the Q&A, or again, you can message me at morgan@jotform.com. In addition to that, these resources that you see here, related white papers, webinars, and a blog are all recent from this year. Other webinars we've hosted, these are all about AI and automation for nonprofits, how to boost donor engagement using those tools, technology and how technology can support nonprofits in general. So if you are interested in reading or learning a little bit more, watching other webinars about AI automation and just improving your overall workflows, I recommend checking those out as well. Again, we are sending the this recording out. It will come to you automatically within the next 24 hours. So no need to follow up with me about that. You will get me know. Sorry, you I was trying to read questions and talk at the same time. You will get that recording. With the recording, you'll be able to access this. There will be a button saying, watch the recording. And you'll also still have access to the resources that you're currently seeing under where you're seeing me currently. So you'll still be able to download all of those. Again, if you have any trouble with that, feel free to email me and I can send those to you directly as well. I do see that some people have been able to download them and some people haven't. So I apologize for those of you that haven't. Just for a little bit more information there, again, you should see those resources in a box underneath where you're seeing me currently, and you can click on any of those to download and save them. I believe that some of them are links out and some of those are downloadable files. Okay, I see a couple of people asking about the recording. So yes, just want to reiterate that recording will come to you. A question, I believe James has already answered some of these, but just in case anybody out there has the same question, there was a question about what LLM stands for. So LLM is a large language model. That is your generative AI like ChatGPT, Claude, Google's Gemini, the things that we kind of see a lot of publicity about these days. So that's what those are. Okay, let's see. I see a few people asking about getting signed up for that AI agent training. So yes, I will send you the link if you are interested in that. Just again, want to reiterate, you can drop your email in the Q&A here and I'll follow up with you with a link to that. Those are every 2 weeks. And I believe we currently have at least September sessions are up, so you can register for any of the September sessions. Yeah, I see James is starting to answer this question, but there's a question, can you make a video on how to get the agent to learn content of a website? James, I'm going to let you answer that probably more thoroughly than I will right here. And while you're answering that, I also want to mention that we have a ton of tutorials on our YouTube channel as well. So there may already be something that more directly helps you address this concern. Our YouTube channel, once again, is youtube.com/thejotform. You should see there's an entire channel, an entire list about our AI agents with a number of tutorials that my colleague Kimberly and a few others have put together. We also have a lot of other resources as well. So if you're not finding something you need, I'm going to give my name once again. I am Morgan Zients, and I'm Morgan at Jotform, Morgan at Jotform. So if you're having trouble finding the resources that you need for more information about any of this, or you just want to chat in general, or you want to share a use case, or you have follow-up questions, anything you need, I'm happy to speak with you directly. Again, that's Morgan at Jotform. And again, I'm seeing a couple more people coming in with requests for the AI training. So I will be sure to send that out. I'll send that to all of you today. There's a question about whether or not you need an enterprise subscription to create AI agents. No, you do not. There are different limits for different Jotform accounts, but all of our tools and products are included regardless of what account you have. So if you want to get started and play around with AI agents for free, you can do that. You can sign up at jotform.com for a free account. We also have individual user plans. So the AI agents are fully available on those as well. I think I've gotten to the end of the questions. I do see that James is still responding to one or two. So I'm just gonna look through one last time and make sure I'm not missing anything, and then make sure James has a minute or two to respond to those. Another question about the recording. Yes, absolutely. So if you missed part of today's session, you will be getting a recording within the next 24 hours. That will give you a link to the presentation as well as all of what you're seeing here. So the resources that you're seeing as well are available in the when you view the recording as well. So you'll have access to all of this. Okay, I think we've gotten through all of the questions. If I missed your question, I apologize. Again, feel free to reach out to me if I missed a question, if you think of something after the fact. Or again, if you want to be pointed to any additional resources, or you want to share your use cases and examples. I love hearing from people. That's one of my favorite parts of the job, is that I get to actually talk to people on a more personal, individual basis. So I would love to hear from you. Again, Morgan at Jotform. And otherwise, I just want to thank you all for being here. I know that we'll have at least one more nonprofit focused webinar this year. So stay tuned for more from us. And hopefully we'll see you at the next one, and hope to hear from you soon. Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.